delivered at the end of the 111th National Executive Council meeting of the Academic Staff Union of Polytechnics, held today, the 3rd of October 2024 in Abuja. Our union's National Executive Council met at its 111th session to review the current status of our engagements with proprietors of public polytechnics, colleges of technology, and monotechnics in the country. Specifically, our union extensively reviewed the following disturbing issues. 1. Sustained reports of impunity and disrespect of clear provisions of the Federal Polytechnic Act, different edicts establishing state-owned institutions, and other instruments of governance in the sector, particularly as it affects the appointment of principal officers in federal and state-owned polytechnics, as well as other items of governance in the sector. 2. Non-review of the contentious and suspended document titled Schemes of Service for Polytechnics and the non-release of condition of service in the sector. 3. Non-release of the second tranche of the Needs Assessment Intervention Fund. 4. Intrusion of the National Board for Technical Education, NBT, into the regular functions of the Academic Board of Polytechnics in the admission of higher national diploma students in Nigerian Polytechnic system. 5. Non-capturing of the peculiar academic allowance of members in the budget for its sustained payment in the planned post-IPPIS era. Refusal of state-owned polytechnics to implement the 35%/25% salary review for members and the non-release of the arrears of same in federal polytechnics. Non-release/resolution of the old Contest 15 migration arrears to members in the lower cadre. The non-conclusion of ASUP/federal government 2010 agreement renegotiation process. Non-payment of promotion arrears in federal institutions and non-implementation of promotion in state-owned institutions. Having extensively discussed and looked at these issues, the union reviewed the disposition of the government through the Supervisory Ministry of Education, the regulatory body, and other agencies of government, as well as the governing councils of some of the polytechnics, to the issues outlined. In view of this, the 111 NEC meeting of the union rose with the following demands. A. Review and reversal of all decisions / acts of impunity inconsistent with the provisions of the Federal Polytechnic Act, as well as other laws establishing polytechnics in Nigeria. Immediate commencement of the review process of the suspended document titled Scheme of Service of Polytechnics 2023, as agreed in the tripartite meeting of July 2024. Release of the second tranche of needs assessment intervention for public polytechnics and colleges of technology. Cessation of all acts purporting to undermine, duplicate, or surrender the responsibilities of academic boards of polytechnics in student admission process to the MBT, as demonstrated by the recent launch of a students' admission portal by the MBT. Inclusion of negotiated peculiar academic allowance in the budget against post-IPPIS payment scheme template for members. Immediate implementation of the approved 25% and 35% salary review across all public polytechnics and the payment of the accrued arrears. Release and final resolution of the age-long 2015 migration arrears for lower cadre. Recommencement and completion of the ASUP/Federal Government 2010 agreement in the negotiation process. Immediate release of the reviewed conditions of service. Non-implementation of promotion in state institutions. Release of outstanding promotion arrears in federal institutions and colleges of technology. Following the above listed demands, and pursuant to our resolve to continue to advocate for a functional polytechnic education system in the country, our union hereby issues a 15-day ultimatum as required by law, commencing from Monday, 7 October 2024, to proprietors of public polytechnics for these items to be addressed or face different forms of trade disputes. Zones and chapters of the union are to prepare members for necessary action within the 15 days ultimatum through congresses, peaceful protests, and media campaigns on the issue. It is our desired hope that the 15 days period shall be exploited by the government to address issues and save the sector from an imminent shutdown. Thank you very much for listening, and God bless you. Solidarity forever. Okay, thank you very much. You know, our union, the Academic Staff Union of Polytechnics, is a union of scholars, union of intellectuals, union of people that are supposed to know what is right and wrong. Before we came to this conclusion to declare this industrial action, our union have taken so many measures, but unfortunately, all those measures did not yield the desired result. For example, if you recall, gentlemen of the press, we have called you here sometimes in July and informed you that we are going to be preparing to declare industrial action. We issued a press statement. I want to thank you for carrying those statements. At the end of the day, there was a meeting that was held with the National Board for Technical Education that was convened by the Federal Ministry of Education to address one of the contentious issues then, which was the scheme of service. But as we are talking to you now, they were given 2 weeks in that tripartite meeting to ensure that mechanisms for addressing our grievances in that scheme of service are addressed. But unfortunately, even after our union decided to add another 2 weeks to them, that is to give them 1 month grace, up to this moment, that is after over 2 months, no action has been taken on that matter. On other issues, for example, the issue of arrears of 25% and 35% salary increase in federal polytechnics, and the implementation of that review in state polytechnics. For example, for state polytechnics, this NEC, over 3 months ago, wrote letters to all state governors to ensure that the salaries of our members in state polytechnics are reviewed in accordance with that circular for the review of salary. But as we are talking today, they have failed to do that. Even though it has been implemented at the federal level, the arrears for the 25 and 35% salary increase for the period between January 2023 and December 2023 has not been paid. We have made effort. We've gone to budget office. We have discovered that it is not captured in the budget, and there is no any effort is being made to pay it. And that is the same with all other issues that were highlighted here. We have written the Ministry of Education. We have written the MBT over the issue of our peculiar academic allowance, particularly now that the sector is exiting from IPPS by January next year. But up to this moment, as we are talking, there is no any attempt to make sure that there is a circular has been released to ensure that budget office captured this matter in the 2025 budget. So, gentlemen of the press, our union have written several letters. Our union have engaged officials of the government at different times, but all our effort was futile. And that is why the NEC has come to this conclusion. Now, the arrears, the minimum wage, as you are aware, even though there was a wage award before the implementation of minimum wage, this wage award was not paid to our members since when the period terminated. And as we are talking now, even though there is a circular for the consequential adjustment of the new minimum wage of 70,000 naira, because your question is whether we have seen any money in our pocket. We have not been paid at all. And there is harsh economic realities facing our members. Our members that have been promoted for the past 5 years have not been paid their arrears. In some of the state institutions, some members that have been promoted for the past 4 years, the promotion have not been implemented. And unfortunately, if you look at one of the items that we are seriously against is the issue of National Board for Technical Education taking over the mandate of our academic board in terms of HND admission. The MBT now has decided that the admission office for HND program in our polytechnics will be done in their office. And our union will never, never accept that. The functions of MBT is purely regulatory, to accredit programs, to ensure quality control. If they have any problem with admission, when they come for accreditation of program, they should raise it there in various institutions. But for them to usurp the powers of the academic board and say they will now get involved in admission of HND students, our union will never, never accept it. So, gentlemen of the press, the issues are many, and we are counting on your cooperation, your support, because what we are doing is to salvage the country. No country can develop without technical education. And the mandate of the Polytechnic is to provide skilled manpower for the development of this country. We are not fighting a battle that is just selfish for ourselves, but it's for the entire country. Today, you agree with us that Nigeria, instead of producing what we can eat and even export, we cannot do that because of lack of proper attention to technical education. And the only way Nigeria can get out of the present economic situation that we are now is for aggressive investment in technical and vocational education. We need to deliberately look into the well-being and welfare of staff that are supposed to provide skilled manpower for the development of this country. If we fail to do that, then we will continue to become an import-driven country. We will continue to become a poverty-ridden country, because today, to the glory of God, God has blessed us with abundant natural resources. But how to harness these resources is a problem. And the only way we can harness these resources is to develop our technical and vocational skills, is to develop our polytechnics, so that this system can help the country to meet the aspiration of the country, the challenge of poverty, the challenge of hunger, the challenge of insecurity. Thank you very much, and God bless you all.
Thank you for the press. This is the end of our press conference. Thank you for coming.